Well, it's time for a third video in 3 days, and it's another preview of an EFL playoff semi-final. We've covered the first leg of the Championship, we've covered the semi-finals of League One yesterday, and today we turn our attention to League Two, which is always one of the most difficult to call, and between the sides that are the most evenly matched. There's a few bizarre permutations this time, there's a few teams that have had very strange finishes to the season. So hopefully you're looking forward to this one. You can find all the others in the eye above if you haven't seen them yet. But today we are going to look ahead to both EFL League 2 semi-finals. And we are going to see who we think will progress through the playoffs to the final at Wembley in a couple of weeks' time. As always, we'll encourage you to get involved in the comments down below. Give us your predictions for all 4 matches and let us know which 2 teams you think get through on aggregate. If you beat or match my overall predictions of 3 points for a perfect score and 1 for a correct outcome, you'll get a shout out when we return to look ahead to the League 2 final in a couple of weeks' time. Don't forget, the fun doesn't stop today. We've got the Championship second legs to come on Saturday, and we're also going to be looking ahead to the National League Eliminators later in the weekend. But for now, it is all attention to League 2 and 4 sides separated by 7 points. One who were top of the league for a long time and were in third place after 96 minutes on Saturday last week. Unlike the other leagues, 3 sides out of the 4 not in particularly good form, and a couple of games that are going to be very hard to call. We start with the first of these matches, which actually take place 2 Saturdays in succession. We've got one this Saturday night, followed by the return fixture the following weekend. It is Notts County versus AFC Wimbledon. Now this one becomes pretty tricky to call because you've got 2 sides separated by 1 point in the league campaign and 2 sides that have finished the season pretty similarly in terms of results. The one big difference here though, and probably the outlier in this whole League 2 playoff campaign, is AFC Wimbledon, because we've got 3 sides in the playoffs that have been built on brilliant attacking performances this year. Goals galore, 68, 73, 75 respectively. Wimbledon though have only got 56. But they have got significantly better defensive records than, well, anyone in League 2 this year, only conceding 35, and that is, 14 and 19 better respectively than any of their playoff opponents. And the most bizarre thing about this is I actually started my EFL season live at AFC Wimbledon versus Colchester United on the opening day. And for those of you who were there, AFC Wimbledon were 2-0 down in a few minutes, came back to win the game 4-2, a brilliant victory. But you would not have predicted the stats and the season that followed based on, well, even the first 10 minutes of that game, let alone the whole thing. So it's been a very strange campaign given how it started. However, Wimbledon are into the playoffs with by far the best defensive record in the league. We learn absolutely nothing from the head-to-heads between these sides this season because both teams won their home game without conceding. And it leaves us with a real dilemma because Notts County, while they have scored 68 goals this season, which is actually the second worst of the 4 playoff teams, they've also got 2 of the top 3 scorers in the division, in Jatta and McGoldrick, who are both sensational. We've talked about McGoldrick before. He is a proper brilliant pro, and he's still doing it at this level consistently. You've then got Matty Stevens at the other end for AFC Wimbledon, who after falling away at Forest Green due to injuries after a couple of brilliant seasons, is now back with a bang and flying, and brilliant to see him doing so well at the top end of League 2. It does make this hard to call because you've got 3 of the 4 best strikers in the division statistically, and you've got a strike force that is capable of harming anyone against the best defence in the league this year. How on earth do you call it? Now it gets even more difficult as well because apart from Bradford, who were magnificent at home this year, AFC Wimbledon have got the second best home record in the EFL League 2 this season. Now, unfortunately, Notts County's not quite so good. They're down in mid-table, but they've got the second best away record in League 2 this season. And unfortunately for Wimbledon, theirs is only in 9th place in the league, and they've only won 7 games on the road. So how on earth do you call this one? Does it come down to, can Notts County be in the game for the second leg and then offer more of a threat on the counter away from home than perhaps AFC Wimbledon can? Because AFC Wimbledon has scored less than a goal a game away from home this year. So you would think for Notts County, that makes the home leg even more crucial. If they don't win the home leg against Wimbledon, who have been poor in front of goal on the road, they may well struggle to get through in a tie. But then, despite AFC Wimbledon's good home record, Notts County are the highest scorers away from home this year against what is the second best defence at home. It's this that makes League 2 impossible. Honestly, I have no idea how to call it. They're so evenly matched, probably more so than anyone else in these playoff campaigns this year. And on paper, I have no idea what to go for. Wimbledon have been involved in a lot of low-scoring games recently, Notts County in a lot of high ones, but despite their good time on the road, they have lost their last 3 home games, all conceding more than 1 goal as well. And I do wonder if Wimbledon will be able to find a way. If they can nick one on the road, you'd back them to get through. It's the only one of the 6 I actually come into the episode having not decided how I'm going to predict. And on this occasion, for the first leg at Notts County, I can't back them to win it, but I am going to back them to get a result. I'm going to go for Wimbledon to draw there, 1 goal apiece. I'm going to go against the grain. Both teams won at home without conceding this year. I'm going to go for neither team to win at home and both to concede. Notts County to draw 1-1 with Wimbledon in the first leg. And then in the second leg, I just think firepower will rule the day in the playoffs. I'm going to go for Notts County in a second leg next Saturday to win by 2-1 away at Wimbledon. Could it be as simple as the impact of Notts County's home game being an 8 o'clock kickoff, finishing under the lights, whereas AFC Wimbledon are 12:30? The first leg scores could throw me completely off here. I'm going to go for 1-1 at Notts County, and a return fixture at AFC Wimbledon at Plough Lane to be 2-1 to the visitors, and Notts County to progress on aggregate by 3-2. I just think that firepower will edge it. Then we move on to one of those playoff games where so many people often fall into the traps. One of these teams will be delighted to be in the playoffs. One of them will be absolutely mortified. Taking place on Sunday and Friday, it is Chesterfield versus Walsall. And Walsall, well, how have they missed out on automatic promotion? They're running the second half of the season. I mean, I use the word wretched on here a bit. It's not even the right word. It's been absolutely abysmal. One of the few positives in that run was a victory against Chesterfield at home back in mid-February. But to finish the season the way they did, and to think they were going up after 96 minutes before Bradford got one off Sarsevic's backside in stoppage time, it's heartbreaking. But as much as you feel for them in that moment, the second half of the season, they've had about 20 chances to get over the line, and all they needed to do was pick up one more result, and they couldn't do it. They've got the joint worst defensive record in the playoffs alongside, you've guessed it, Chesterfield, who we went to watch a few weeks ago here on the podcast against Harrogate at home, and it was a pretty uninspiring day. Chesterfield keeping the ball, but when they played against a team that defended deep and tried to set up not to be beaten, they did find it hard to get in behind. Now, I appreciate they were missing a few key players on that occasion, and it did thwart the way they would maybe look to unlock the door. But I've been a little bit concerned by them at home when they've got to break someone down. Of course, if they get early goals in matches, as we saw against Morecambe and Fleetwood recently, they can score goals at home, and to be fair, in a 3-3 draw against Bradford. But they're a very different side on the road, where they're robust, they're hard to beat, and they're solid. And how's that going to pan out against Walsall? Because in the last 3 games, they've been involved in 0-0s and 1-0s. They had to shore things up a little to try and get over the line, but it hasn't worked out. And you've got a side who are flying into the playoffs on an unbeaten run, and a side in Walsall whose win against Crewe was the first in some time. Having fallen away in that second half of the season, do you get the hangover we so often see? In these ties, it's often momentum that's crucial. When you look at this season overall, Chesterfield have got the poor away record. They've lost 11 games on the road this season, more than any other side in the top half record, to be fair, away from home. However, at home, they've only lost 3 games. Bradford, the only team to do better than that over the year. But a lot of draws there again. And that is the weird thing. Chesterfield prone to a draw at home and a defeat on the road. You've kind of got one of 2 ways this tie can go. You could see Chesterfield go out and get that win away from home, which they're capable of doing. They've scored 32 goals on the road this year. They've been able to produce moments. And actually, their away record defensively is as good as it is at home. But then on the flip side of that, you feel Walsall have got a better chance of getting a result on the road, having only lost 6 games away this season, having the best away defensive record in the league, bar Wimbledon and Crewe, and being slightly more capable of winning games at home, albeit they have lost a couple more too. It's another brutal one to call. Walsall have got a couple of very handy strikers and attacking players in good form. We saw Jamil Matt come off the bench in the second half the other day. That could be important for their playoff chances. They've got that experience in the squad as well. The likes of Albert Adoma, who again came off the bench in that final game of the season. On the flip side, Chesterfield are littered with experience and promotion winning experience as well. A few of the old Wycombe boys that Paul Cook brought with him. Will Grigg obviously popped up with a goal in the final game of the season. You've got John Fleck in there who's done it before. You've got the likes of Jacobs and Naylor in the dressing room. You've got players who did it with Chesterfield in the National League, who have been to the playoff final and lost against Notts County and then won the league. There are so many people that have been there and done it. And with that combined with the additional momentum, I do think it might be the difference maker. It makes it so hard to call this game. And despite the fact they've got the two worst defensive records and have scored, well, nearly 150 goals between them this year in League Two, I think this could be quite cagey, you know. The results this season wouldn't suggest it. We saw a 2-2 draw at Chesterfield, a 3-1 win for Walsall at home. I think it might be a little bit different when it comes to the playoffs. So for Chesterfield, the first leg at home, I actually think if they can avoid defeat, it's probably a half-decent result for them. And away from home, you know they're probably not going to draw. It's whether they win or lose. In the first leg at Chesterfield, a Sunday afternoon game, I'm going to go for a pretty lacklustre 1-1 draw, probably with Walsall taking a lead and Chesterfield pressurising late on to get an equaliser. And I think that will prove crucial the following Friday night, because I think Chesterfield will go to Walsall. I think it'll be a really cagey tie. I think Chesterfield might just nick it. Again, I think they've got those additional players with firepower, fit and on form in the team. And momentum is one hell of an advantage in football. So I'm going to go for Chesterfield to nick it on the road, just as they did in their final game of the season, by 1-0. That will send them through 2-1 on aggregate, with a 1-1 draw in the first leg and a 1-0 win at Walsall to continue the heartbreak for them. So with that out of the way, let's have a quick recap of what I've gone for in these two EFL League 2 semi-finals of the playoffs. I've gone for Notts County versus AFC Wimbledon to be a pretty tight affair. I've gone for a 1-1 draw in the home leg at Notts County on Saturday night. And then I've gone for them to win on the road at AFC Wimbledon by 2-1. And a very similar story, actually. In the next game, I've gone for Chesterfield to draw 1-1 at home in the first leg against Walsall before nicking a 1-0 win the following Friday night when they go away looking for a place in the EFL League 2 playoff final. So they're just my predictions for the League 2 playoff semi-finals. I have got Notts County and Chesterfield meeting at Wembley again, just as they did in the National League playoff final a couple of years ago, and that one certainly went all the way, didn't it? I've also gone for 6th versus 7th, which is a very different story to some of my other predictions in the playoffs. You can find those up in the eye above. Give us your predictions for the League 2 playoff semi-finals. If you beat or match my overall score, you will get a shout out when we return to look ahead to the final. But don't you worry, there's plenty more to come this week. We've got Championship Manager specials on the way. We've got the Championship semi-final second leg preview to come on Saturday, and the National League playoffs begin next week too. All of our playoff shows coming along over the next few days. If you want to stay up to date with all of those, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Do us a favour and chuck a thumbs up on this one too. And we'll see you again to look ahead to the League 2 playoff final in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, as we mentioned before, there's an awful lot to look forward to in the EFL and National League playoffs.